This is Topline Hotline with your hosts AJ Bruno, Asif Zaman, and me, Sam Jacobs, where we answer questions from the go-to-market community every week. It's been 7 hours and 15 days since you took your GTM away. I go out every night and try to design a comp plan in your face since you took your love away. Since you've been gone, I can raise as much capital as I want. I can do a secondary. Anyway. All right. Welcome to Topline Hotline.
We missed the last Thursday's Topline Hotline dropping, and it was called out really quickly. And I'm fairly confident people were waiting for Sam's Ditty to drop, and that's what they were actually about.
It's where we ask. This is a segment where we ask a question from the go-to-market community, largely from the Topline Slack channel, or maybe from readers of the new Topline newsletter, whose editor-in-chief is Asif Zaman, one of my co-hosts. I'm also joined by AJ Bruno, the CEO of QuotaPath, and we're here to answer your burning questions. Asif is our master of ceremonies. Over to you, sir.
We have a really fun question. So the question is from a young member of our ecosystem, and the question is, currently, I'm 27 and a top-performing rep at a Series C startup in Boston. Last year, I finished first among 10 reps, and this year, I've already reached 100% of my yearly quota. As I look at top CROs across the industry, I've noticed many have carried a bag and have strategy/operations experience. While I'm performing and earning well, I'm concerned that my lack of strategy and operations experience will make it harder for me to navigate towards a CRO role later in life, or that I won't have the skills to be an effective operator/executive. So my question is, in your experience, would I benefit from a pivot to pursue a consulting position or an MBA? My thought is that by combining past sales performance with experience and a formal education in business strategy and operations, I'm more likely to graduate into and have success as a CRO. What do you think? Sam, what are your thoughts?
I will talk my book for very briefly, then I want to hear it from you and AJ, but I don't think, now, understand, I did not get my MBA. I don't think any of us has on this call.
I barely got my undergrad.
I don't think MBA and high growth companies are, if you want to be an MD at the private equity firm, if you want to be an investor, then I think maybe pursuing an MBA and then moving into management consulting might be a good path. But generally speaking, I don't think your MBA is going to give you the skills that you're seeking. I think the thing that's going to give you the skills that you're seeking are communities like Pavilion that have structured online learning taught by practitioners and a community of peers that can, and mentors that can give you steady and ongoing access to the skills that you need. Is there, can you take a class to figure out how to read a financial statement? Yeah, you can take that through Corporate Finance Institute or, any number of online platforms. But going to an MBA, it's a lot of big company people. It's a lot of fake startup people. Yes, there are some great companies that came out of MBA, class or whatever, but or programs, largely GSB, Stanford, but mainly it takes you out of the game. And I also frankly think that within the high growth world, there's a little bit of a negative stigma around MBAs because you look like a strategy person. You look like somebody that wants to boss other people around, but not actually do the work. So I don't think that you should pull yourself. Frankly, I think there's a better chance of moving up through the ranks at the current company where you're doing great and becoming a sales manager and then becoming a director and then becoming a VP of sales, and all the while making sure that you're spending some percentage of your time every week outside of your company talking to people that don't work at your company, either mentors that are a couple of steps ahead of you or peers that are solving similar problems. We have storytelling with data class that's part of CRO school. It's also part of our Rising Executives program. I teach a class on unit economics and understanding enterprise value. There's just a lot of current practitioners that you can have access to through a community like Pavilion that I don't think an MBA is going to do what you want it to do, but that's my opinion. Feel free to disagree. AJ.
I do not disagree. I also don't have my doctorate or my MBA. I know, big surprise, huge surprise. First off, this person's 27, and I can tell you that they are way ahead of the game even by asking this question and thinking about it. So that's first and foremost
congrats
what I
on
appreciate.
thinking about it.
Yeah, that's like amazing. I'm like, oh, this person's light years ahead. I definitely agree, but the one part that I will say that like I could feel the energy is I was recently on Harvard's campus, and it was during graduation weekend, and there was a lot of energy, and there were
You were
MBAs.
marching with all those pro-Palestine people.
I was just watching all of the people that were
You're
out.
a big Hamas supporter.
Okay, my answer is done. Austin, what do you think?
I think when it comes, last year my mother was visiting, and at the end of a dinner, she looks at me. She's like, "Are you going to do your MBA though?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" There is, I think, in older generations an appreciation for things like an MBA that might just not be that valid anymore in certain tracks. So when can an MBA be helpful? I think if you want to change your career, it can be really helpful. So let's say you are a developer and you want to become an investment banker or private equity person. MBA is a great way to make that pivot. There are also certain career paths within which an MBA will help you, and especially if that career path is at very large organizations. So let's say you're in finance or operations and you're working for companies like Microsoft. Yes, an MBA will help you move up. And they'll subsidize it and they'll support it, etc. In our world of go-to-market, especially when it comes to go-to-market at the early and growth stage, I think the problems are evolving at a pace that these education institutions cannot keep up with. My brother did an undergrad in computer science, and the stuff he was learning in his fourth year was already obsolete. By the time he came out, he actually had to come out after a 4-year degree and do a boot camp to learn relevant skills for the job market, then got a really good job. So I think you just won't learn the things that are relevant to the problems we are solving because we're all trying to figure it out as we go. Example, we are now going to go through a phase shift where we go from seed-based pricing to usage and consumption. How to think through that and how to make those decisions and implement that is not something you're going to learn in a textbook over there. So I think the problems that we're dealing with, you won't get exposure to. The other part of it that can be really helpful is network. People go and do an MBA at a really good school because you develop a great network. That is true, but networks are buildable in different ways. And so you could get the same value from joining a community like Pavilion and being an active member of that community, because somebody who is standing on the side and not taking part at during an MBA course or in Pavilion isn't going to get that network either way. Networks are about getting close to the right people and then being actively involved in them. So you could, I think, get a lot of the value that is the perceived value of MBA through something like Pavilion. I think it's a way better place to do it.
Moral of the story, kids, don't go to school. And if you do, go to Pavilion.
Go to Pavilion. That's a great moral.
By the way, at the CRO summit, someone came up to me and said, "Hey, AJ, you guys answered my TOPLINE HOTLINE question." And then he goes, "Well, you didn't. You went off on something and you didn't answer the question, and Sam had to correct you afterwards." So appreciate that.
That's
Was that Ryan Burke?
Yeah, it's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Ryan was there. I wanted to hang out with Ryan.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Great. Ryan's very sharp.
Yeah, he is sharp. Well, folks, it's been another wonderful week of TOPLINE. God bless you. As you're listening to this, where will I be? I'll be in Napa Valley. Sorry, my job sucks. But wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying yourself. And thanks for listening. Give us 5 stars on all of the relevant stores and places that you get your podcast. Open Asad's newsletter, then read it. It's the TOPLINE newsletter. Join our Slack channel. All the ways that you can engage with the growing TOPLINE media empire, the TME. All right. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.